good evening.
Hello. Good evening.
Hello. Welcome to Shadow Whispers in the Night on this windy, snowy Saturday evening and afternoon with Robyn.
Yes.
And afternoon with Robyn. How is Miss Robyn today?
Pretty good. I've been inside, of course, because it is snowing like crazy outside. I'm pointing at a window you can't see out of. It is snowing like crazy outside, and they have not plowed the streets yet. And so I'm in no matter what. But today I say it's because of the snow. How are you, Jenny? How are you?
I am good. I'm good. Sean complain. Sean complain.
You're like, I can't complain. Sure you can. No,
Don't complain. If I start, you probably, when people say to me, Jen, how's it going? How's everything? Well, so I don't do that because I probably won't stop.
Right.
We have an amazing guest on with us tonight, don't we?
Yes, I'm super excited. And I'm not just saying that because we're doing a show, but I can't wait to speak with him.
Yes, me too. So I am going to tell everybody who we have on tonight. We have Rob Gutro. And Rob, please, I know you can see in my background. Please let me know if I'm saying your surname right. Guthro? Not dead. Yes, I hope so. So he's going to tell me when he comes on. So a wee bit of a bio on Rob. So Rob is an author as well. So in addition to being an author, he is a scientist and a member of Inspired Ghost Tracking Paranormal Group, where he's a medium on the team. He's become known as a pet medium, although he connects with people and pets. His books teaches others how to recognize signs from people and pets who have passed. He writes books about his experiences and explains the paranormal terms of energy, which we do love. He writes the books to bring an understanding and healing to people. He has made the distinction between a ghost and spirit and why it's important to know how they all use energies, physical and emotional, to convey the messages. On investigations, he sketches out what ghosts look like. He teaches people how to protect themselves, why ghosts stay, what ghosts can do, and what spirits can do when a spirit of our loved ones visit us and all the signs to look for. He explains why ghosts are stuck in one place and have run into ghosts in many places, including vacations, which is awesome. One of his big focuses is on pets. He had a dog that was tragically killed as a puppy and who became the world's best canine communicator. He opened the door for other dogs and cats to give messages for others that he has proven over and over. He also gives fundraising lectures at animal rescues, and he does pet readings as well. He's had this gift since he was a teenager when his grandfather appeared to him 6 months after he had passed away. So what an interesting bio, what an interesting guy. So I'm going to take on Rob with us. Good afternoon.
And good afternoon, Jenny and Robyn. Nice to finally meet you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thanks so much for being here with us this afternoon and tonight with us. How is everything? How was your week?
Oh, every week's a good week. As long as you can get out of bed.
That's true.
Yeah, that is so good.
That's right. If you're upset, just change your standards. If you got out of bed, it's a great day.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Robyn, when you get a certain age.
Right. I have a long way to go.
I'm glad I wasn't included in that.
Well, you're the baby.
I'm the baby. It's been a long time since I've been called the baby. Hi, Miss Chrissy. Hi, Chrissy. So tonight we have a few things to talk about. We have your books. Let me just get one of them here. 1 second.
There's 9. Isn't there 9 of the books?
There's 9, yeah.
You have 9 books.
There's some behind me, actually.
Yeah, I have all of them. I have all of them up, actually. And you were saying today that you have 9 books published. 2 of them went into number 1 on Amazon in different categories. Number 1.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Amazon in different categories. One of them won an International Book Award, which is amazing.
Yes.
which is really amazing. I'll totally get in that one. And also reached the top 100 on Amazon, which is, wow, congratulations. It
Yeah,
is
that's fantastic.
so cool, so cool. Is there any particular book that you want to talk about?
Oh
First.
gosh, well, I think we can talk about all of them collectively and
Yes.
pieces of them.
What's the one that you hold closest to your heart? The one where you go, "This is my masterpiece."
Oh, gosh, I don't know.
He's gonna hold up all 9 now, right?
Yeah, Pets in the Afterlife 3.
Okay.
Oh, I have this one here. Can I just put this one up here so everyone can see?
That's the one. Yeah, that's my dogs Dolly and Franklin, who both passed in 2020.
Oh, wow.
Making it a really hard year.
Yeah.
Little Franklin was the dachshund who was 16 and a half, and Dolly was the Weimaraner who was almost 16. She was one month.
They are amazing ages, like really, really good ages. I know sorry, go ahead.
Weimaraners tend to live to be 12, I guess.
Yeah.
But she was 16 almost. So.
Yeah.
They're amazing ages. I have a Chihuahua here, and she's turning 6 in November. We're only starting the year of 22, but she's turning 6 in November. And she's behind me somewhere. You'll probably hear her snoring in a while. There she is. There she is there. And I actually have her face tattooed on my arm. And I do actually, if you can see her here somewhere, I have a face tattooed on me. Oh. She's like, I rescued her and I hand raised her from like about 15 hours old. So my children are not allowed to call her a dog. She is their sister.
Yes.
You know, she has to be the sister. So like she's turning 6 in November. And everyone's saying, look, she's still young. Oh, not young enough for me. Not young enough for me. I want her to, you know, I know. And I see when my children move out of a house, I think I'm going to be like 90 years of age, still here with hope.
Yes.
I could be.
Could be. That's one of the questions I have for Rob in a little while. Maybe you will be.
I will be. So, this is what I want to get into, because we are 100%. God, Lord, I work with animals. I have 5 dogs, 5 cats. You know, I do rescue work. I'm a dog groomer.
Wow.
And I love animals. Basically, I really do. They come first to me. So I love that you do this. Yes. I love that you do this.
Me too. And sometimes I'll have I've had four dogs at a time, cat, parrots, just the menagerie, and sometimes and lately I've been without. I just have the parrot, and she's not much of a comfort, let's be honest. But it's she's
it's sassy.
She's like sassy. She's like anyway, yeah. So I will advocate for a pet or an animal anytime over a human. If I had to like emergency choice, like people, pet, I'd be like, sorry, dude. No, I'm just playing. But I'm
all about the pets, 100%. Yeah. So I want to ask you, Rob, as well. I know your dog had passed away, and when he was only a puppy in a tragic oh my God, I can't speak today, a tragic accident. And then he's your, can I say, pet spirit guide?
He is a spirit guide. Yeah, it's so this is the guy here. His name is Buzz, and he was given to me as a birthday present back in 2004, and I had not had a dog of my own. I had two dogs in my family growing up, but so it was kind of surprising. And when he came to me, when he was given to me, he developed pneumonia. So he was very sick when he was given to me as a puppy. So I spent the first 2 weeks of his life with me, covered by a tent and a vaporizer, and I nursed him back to health, and we really bonded over that time. And then tragically, when he was 7 months old, his leash opened. He was killed by a car.
Oh no.
So, but he became the world's best canine communicator, and he actually opened the door for me to communicate not only with him, but he taught me how other pets communicate from spirit. And and he was the one that inspired me to write my first book. And then I've written 3 Pets in the Afterlife books, and I have 2 more that are ready to go. One about cats and another one about dogs.
Wow. So, I will be, updating my books for sure. These are ones that I definitely do want to read on. There's not enough being talked about pets in the afterlife. They hope our pets continue on afterlife, and they're not just gone like we say we move on and so on. I think pets, people are afraid to talk about it sometimes. People say they're still here with you and so on, and I do believe that, but it's not talked about enough.
I agree. And one thing and it drives me crazy when people say like, well, they don't quote unquote have a soul, so that's just it, and they end. And for someone like myself who believes in energy and leans more towards the scientific side, if our energy doesn't cease to exist, their energy doesn't cease to exist, and the very same process that would keep us here or sticking around in any way is the same process that's going to be going on for them. So to me, the whole I'm sorry to say, send your hate mail directly to me. I won't read it. That saying dogs and cats and animals don't have a soul sounds ridiculous and slightly ignorant to me. I'm just going to say that. Boom, boom. Not that I'm saying they have a soul. I'm just saying the energy process is the same. Sorry, Rob, go ahead.
I want to jump right in and tell you that is my trigger question, because nothing makes me more angry when people who don't know anything about the afterlife claim to know that that pets don't go on. In fact, they do, as you mentioned, because we're all energy. We become energy, and then we continue on, and we can talk about that later. But every living thing has a soul, and a soul is memories, personality, and knowledge combined with the physical energies that we have that transform into other energies after we die. So our pets are all waiting for us on the other side, and they're more pure and full of love than any human being ever could be.
That's right.
And we can also address your question, Jen, about grieving for pets versus people, because that's another thing that I've learned. I've looked into research papers and studies about that.
Oh, so, really?
So much to talk about.
I know when people say, because I grieve badly over my pets. I do grieve very badly. And gosh, now, because I lost one on Thursday, so I'm bloody still grieving and getting emotional. But it's like I feel I don't want to get out of bed. You do.
No, it's understandable.
It's over at this point.
No, it's true. And I mean, for me, when I lost both of my English Mastiffs, like relatively close together, they were sisters, and I had them, together the whole time. I actually called them my dogders, like instead of daughters, they were my dogders. I don't actually have, and woe be it to anyone who would try, no one ever did, but if they did try to do anything or come at, like I would have destroyed them as humans.
Exactly.
They're my dogs, they're my children.
Exactly. Yeah. People think when you grieve and you grieve hard and you grieve heavy is like kind of like, oh, it's an animal, Oh my Lord. I grieve like,
No, it's been like over a year for me. I can still walk by and I see something of them or pictures of them that I put up on Facebook. I'm still adding pictures, by the way. I'll just start crying. I mean, so I feel like I have grieved over them more than, because to me, it's like they're innocent. And I was joking about humans and animals earlier about saving one or the other. People aren't innocent. There's a lot of free will going on there, and then the pets, we take them in. They are totally devoted to us. They rely on us for every single thing. They're just pure of heart and they're innocent. So yeah.
Yes.
There's more to love than people. Oh man, I am digging myself a hole.
No.
Okay. But I keep saying, down with people. But anyway.
No, I can find the study that I read, psychological study that proves that people grieve more deeply for pets than most people. And just because of what you said is that they're unconditional love. Yes. And that, most people don't know how to love unconditionally. So the other thing too is the reliance on us and our dependence upon them too for love and comfort. I know I work from home during the day, and I get up once an hour and I hug my dogs every hour.
Oh my God.
Because I need it, and they need it too. So, and I will tell you that because I do pet readings from people all over the world, there are a number of people who have actually gone to the extreme and have written to me and told me they were suicidal because of the loss of their pet. I'm not a therapist by any means, but I've had to talk some people down from this and direct them to get help. Suicide prevention hotlines, and let them know that their pets are okay on the other side. And our pets, once they pass, they want us to live a good life, to keep their memories alive, and to also maybe adopt another pet in their honor. So
I also offered home for elderly cats tonight. There's a lady who passed away and she's 13 cats. And I said, if you have any elderly cats, I can take 1 or 2. So I said, not again. And I've got 5 dogs and 5 cats. And here I am now after the passing of my own cat, who he had special needs. So he was 24/7 care. So now I still feel this thing of looking around behind me on the sofa to see if he's okay, but he's not there. But and here I am saying, if you have any elderly cats from this group, these cats that I would take in, but they're not used to dogs, and I have 5 dogs. But I said I will help with the transport and so on if needed. But yeah, you just, like you said, Rob, about continue on helping other animals, and we grieve. But even though I have 5 cats, 5 dogs, I still feel like I'm not busy enough. I need to help. I need to keep helping. I need to keep helping, and I always go for old dogs or old cats or disabilities or ones that people won't take because they're going to be extra work.
We do we do the same. My husband and I have worked for dog rescue now for probably about 16 years, and we do fosters and transports and home visits and all kinds of things. And we have adopted a couple of elderly dogs, senior dogs.
Yes.
And the ones that need to stay together, the ones that have been together their whole lives, don't separate them, grab them both, that sort of thing.
Never. I wouldn't allow it. I'm just going to call out a few things here. This is from Stuart. Stuart is in Sligo. Hi, Jenny. How are you keeping? Did I ever tell you about the time I see my dog after he passed? No, you didn't, Stuart, but I do want to know about it. Hi, David. Chrissy, listen, Chrissy. I still cry for Keisha. She was such a personality, very loving, protective dog, but would not hurt anyone. She had a lot of anxiety and stress due to her life from a previous home, but she was a beautiful soul. And do you ever find out with pets that are adopted, sometimes they have a bad, like Keisha had a bad start off, that's my dog snoring, bad start off in life, and they just are fantastic pets. Like when a human gets hurt, we remember it, and sometimes we live on it. Like, sometimes we don't trust anymore. And the same with pets, but pets always have a waggy tail. And, they always have a waggy tail. And for me, I go for the ones that, I go for every dog, but I go for the ones that people don't have that. I have put up a beautiful Yorkshire Terrier and a beautiful Jack Russell looking for a home. And I was inundated for the Yorkshire Terrier. And I noted everyone down that wanted the Yorkshire Terrier and not the Jack Russell, and put them in a red list to say no, because I do home sex. And I'm like, no, we're not doing that. So what else? Michael Burke. Hi, Michael. I've seen spirits of 2 pets who have passed, a cat and a dog. Do you ever hear that residual walking on the ground, like the nails?
I do. I still do.
The nails. Yeah, I did that with a dog that I had.
With Brontosaurus, who was the larger of the 2 English Mastiff females that I had, every morning they had their own twin bed in my room because everybody sleeps in the room, right? So in the morning when she was ready for me to get up, her in particular, not necessarily her sister, she would come, I call it sharking the bed. She'd come to the side of the bed and bump and slide on it, bump and slide. And then if I still didn't wake up, she'd put her mouth right in my face and go, and I go, I'm awake. But anyway, for maybe a week after she passed, I was fully awake already. This was not a dream. the bed would start moving, would bump and move. And so I was like, I just say, good morning, Bronte. Good morning, Bronte, and it finally subsided.
Yeah.
But
Rob, I wanted to ask you a few things about, because I know we'll be talking about obviously the pets, and we want to talk about your books and your experience in investigation and so on. So we can chop and change the conversations around. When you do a reading for pets, like I know I went to a medium before, say about a year and a half ago, and I think she's amazing. She's bloody fabulous. And she said something to me about one of my dogs. And I didn't expect my dog to come through, because some of my dogs never do. And I have my dogs cremated here and my cats are cremated here in my living room. When, I don't know if I'm going to make this sound proper or not, when dogs come through to you, or cats come through to you, or any pets come through to you, this is going to sound silly, my question, but like language, English, or feelings, what would you get from them? Would you get like an English interpretation, if that makes sense?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I do get an English interpretation, and they show me a lot of visuals. So they'll show me what their favorite spot looked like, or maybe a couple of toys that they liked, or where they like to sit or go outside, or something like that. One of the things that I included in my Pets in the Afterlife books is the science behind the intelligence of animals. So Dr. Stanley Coren is someone that I cite all the time. He wrote a couple of books called How Dogs Think and The Intelligence of Dogs. And in those books, and I use them as references, he measures the intelligence of dogs so that he looks at instinctual learning, behavioral learning, routine, auditory learning, so language learning, socialization, all kinds of things. And what he found is that our dogs, he uses dogs as a baseline, but it also applies to cats in another sense.
Yeah.
Our dogs learn on the same levels as our human children. So they can repeat words that they hear.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
For instance, when I'm talking to a dog or cat in spirit, they may meet the spirit of one of your loved ones. For instance, if there is a woman named Mary in spirit, they will hear Mary say, "I'm Mary. I am your mother's sister." So the dog will tell me that he's with Mary, and I will share that with the person that they're with. Or sometimes the person on the other side will say, I'm a grandma or grandpa. Often they tell me grandma or grandpa because that's how the pet will know them.
yes.
So they share those things. They also share images of people too. So in one instance that I remember very clearly, a dog came through to me and showed me a picture or an image of an older gentleman whom I understood to be a grandfather figure, and showed me multiple pictures of this grandfather figure. And the grandfather was wearing the same black and red checkered shirts. So when I wrote to the pet parent, I said, does your grandfather often wear black and red checkered shirts? And they wrote back and they said, those are the only color shirts that my grandfather ever had in his closet. Wow. So pets can relay all of those things. And the bottom line from the scientific studies was that Stanley Coren concluded that dogs have the intelligence of a 3 to 5 year old human child. And cats around a 3 to 4 year old human child. Because dogs are much more social than cats seem to be. And that, I think that was his research. So I use that as a baseline.
That's the truth. And do you ever see it? Because I mean, we were talking before about, here's one of my dogs wanting to get up on my lap again. Oh, she's bonkers. Do you want to watch, Mama? She's a bit bonkers. Oh. But this one here now, like she's a thing for earrings, but she wouldn't leave the cat box that Sage was in. Like, she's a bit bonkers and she is loopy, but she was a different dog when I took Sage home. Like, she would not leave Sage alone, and she wouldn't let anybody go near Sage. You know, she became a dog that I didn't think she would, and she has a thing for earrings.
I know. I'm watching her. I'm trying not to smile because of your story, but at the same time, she's going to swallow your earring.
Oh no, she's taken them off many times. I don't know. She's a little bit bonkers. Okay, Sasha, then you go.
She calmed down when you, because you brought Sage home after.
Sage had been. I was with Sage when Sage had passed away. Oh my Lord, what was my bloody question? I forgot.
And then Sasha was with Sage.
Sasha came in. Yeah, but it was something before that I was going to say.
Do you think
Sasha
that the other animals were seeing Sage's spirit? Do you think that maybe Sasha was laying with her because the spirit was around? Or do they?
I let them sniff, Sage, and normally I'd let the vet, I have them cremated from the vets and so on, but I just thought it was too long to get Sage back, so I needed. It was a Tuesday he wasn't well, Wednesday he went in, Thursday he was put to sleep, so I wasn't ready to. I wasn't aware of anything that was going on with him, and I did get X-rays and whatever was going on with him, but it was too fast, so I needed to take him home. But Chrissy, bless your heart. And I let them sniff Sage and Sasha. I've got so many pictures of Sasha, and I took Sage up in his cat box and had it on my bed on Wednesday night. On Thursday night to just to have him on my bed because he always slept on my bed. And so, goodness, my question has gone out of my head, and Lordy mighty, I don't know.
You've had a lot.
We'll come back to me.
But basically, I would ask Rob, do you think that not only is it important, and I'm going to say I personally do, that your other animals see and know what's happened and the other animal didn't just disappear, but do you think they're simultaneously seeing the physical representation of what that pet was once they passed? Plus, do you think that they're sensing that animal's spirit around them?
Sure. So there's a couple of questions in there, but first, I do believe that it's important to let your pets know that your other pets are about to pass, and our pets can sense whether or not they're sickly. The other pets are sickly, just like they sense whether or not you're sick or happy, sad, or angry, or so forth. When we had our dog Dolly transition, we called in a vet to come into our backyard, and we put her on a blanket. And then we had our other two dogs around there so that they could see what was happening. And they knew. So the other aspect of that, too, is that, yes, I have found that scientifically, pets have the ability to see spirits and ghosts because they have a different physiology in their eyes and their ears. So what that means is in their eyes, the cones and rods in their eyes enable them to see faster movement. Spirits move at faster vibration than the human eye can see. So in paranormal investigations, we use high-speed cameras to detect things. Dogs and cats can see them head on. So dogs and cats can see them when they visit. Also, dogs and cats have different ranges in hearing. If you think about a dog whistle, we can't hear a dog whistle. Dogs can hear it. And we use digital recorders to pick up voices of ghosts or spirits. So therefore they can hear and they can see both spirits and ghosts.
That's fantastic. I'm so glad that you said that. I'm actually not professing to be a science expert by any means, but also I'm a science consultant for a particular group. And then for anybody else who has any questions. And I feel like I have repeated myself over and over about the differences between how we see and animals see, and different types of animals, and what they see and what triggers them, what their peripheral vision's like, what their rods and cones are like. I'm really glad that you just said that, because I'll probably be playing this back for a number of people. And you know what? One show that I often recommend when I hit a wall at explaining it myself, I say go to Netflix and watch David Attenborough. I think it's called like How Animals See or something like that. Just watch that one show. It's like 30 minutes. Just knock yourself out. try to understand that there's animals that see in the UV outside of what we see. They see in the UV range, and also the quickness, the speed, and the peripheral vision and the trigger. They do that because they're trying to survive in the wild, and their peripheral vision has to be better because they're trying to survive and or catch prey, and the whole thing. So thank you for that answer.
Oh, you're welcome. So there's one caveat to that.
Okay.
And Jen, as a pet rescuer and a dog and cat mom, I'm sure you know that sense of smell plays a really big part in all of their lives. So even with blind dogs and cats, they rely on their
Oh
sense
my
of smell.
gosh. Yes. Yeah.
So one thing that sometimes freaks dogs and cats out when they see a spirit visiting is that the spirit sometimes doesn't have enough energy to generate the scent or their smell. So they can see the cat, they can hear the cat, but they can't smell the cat. And that will confuse the living dog or cat and scare them.
Yes, that makes sense.
If your dog or cat runs, that's why they're doing that.
Gotcha. That's the thing when people say when they see a dog, when a dog or cat senses a spirit, it's like they get their hackles up, whatever. But never makes sense when you said that. It's because the spirit hasn't manifested itself enough, if that makes sense, not to us but to the animal, and that they can't sense it or smell it, and that's when we say, oh, be afraid, we run.
So we can say then that just because an animal is reacting in what seemingly a negative way does not mean the spirit is of negative origin. There's no need to jump to that conclusion.
Yeah.
I want to ask you a quick question here from Chrissy Taylor. Our little dog, who we still have, misses her so much because Keisha had passed away. We cannot say Keisha's. Am I saying her name right, Chrissy? Name, because to say the other one, if we talk about her, as soon as our dog hears her name, she cries and looks for her. They're only 6 months apart in age, and it's heartbreaking. So dogs, as you know, will recognize a word: sit, paw, bathroom. And I know when people say, when they train a dog, they say, go to the bathroom, and all the dog will understand is blah 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 blah, bathroom, blah blah. That's why when you're training a dog, is to keep your word to one word, and you use the same word all the time. Use the same word, because you're having a conversation with a dog and it goes blah 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 blah, Jenny, blah 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 blah, and names.
That's also coincidentally how I hear most humans.
I know.
Excellent.
I know.
But yes, keep it. Fewer syllables and consistency.
Keep it small and consistent. So when Chrissy's saying that when her other dog hears her dog who passed away, Keisha, that little dog cries, and so they can't really say her name. It's like when a dog sits at the front door when you come home from work or from school, like we did come home from school, that these dogs know that you're coming home from school or you're coming home from work. And I think it's because it's a routine. Everyday routine that the dog knows what's happening next, and so on and so on. Alan is saying, hi guys, definitely agree with Rob, dog see and hear spirits. Yes, because I know Alan, and I do a museum here in Drogheda with Alan, and he has taken his little dog into the museum, and Molly would, we were only talking about it last night, Molly would sit at the door. And I was saying to Alan, does the dog want to go out because she wants to go outside? But when she went down the corridor, the hallway, she kind of walked back up, but she was stuck to the side of the wall. But we have realized in the last year that there are spirits of 2 dogs so far in that location. When a dog barks, you could give me any dog that barks and I'll tell you what breed it is. So there's a big dog bark and there's a terrier bark. So I don't know if Molly would have seen those dogs. What, Robyn?
No, I was just like, that brings up a huge question. No, that people are really divided about. Do you take an animal with you to a haunted location? We've seen it on television shows, and we've seen it in real life. Most people, the last time I think this question came up, people flipped out. Rob, what do you think? If I had, let's just say, a German Shepherd, I just picked a dog right out of the air, German Shepherd, and I want to go to a haunted location. I'm investigating for the weekend. Do I take that dog with me?
I did that once. and I only did it once with our Weimaraner Dolly, because the suspected haunt, if you will, was a family dog that passed 6 months before.
Okay.
So the one that could prove that it was a dog in spirit more than anyone would be another living dog. And as it turned out, Dolly actually did prove that it was their living dog. I mean, their dog in spirit, rather, that was visiting. And I wrote that story's in my Pets in the Afterlife 1 book. What's interesting, so I totally agree not to bring dogs on paranormal investigations unless you're looking for another pet in spirit.
Okay.
That's it. Alan, if you're listening, we were talking about it last night because we were on location last night. My chihuahua snoring. And I was saying we were talking about what pets, if we were going to bring one, who would we bring? And my chihuahua, no, because she just eats and gets fast and sassy.
And snores, yeah.
And snores. I've a 20-year-old Jack Russell, and she's my baby. And then we have Sasha, who's kind of like, where is it? Who is it? Squirrel, where? You know, Sasha, the Yorkshire you just seen. So she's kind of like, where is it? Where is it? So she jumped out of my window onto my table outside to go for a pee, because she's used to it now, because when I'm doing lives, she's used to like, Mom, open the window. I'm going for a pee. That's Sasha. Riley, my big Akita Newfoundland mix, he's kind of like, where's the next meal coming from? Are you giving me food? Where is it? And so Zach, my collie German Shepherd Cross that you saw before we started the show, is, I know the questions that's coming to me now that I forgot, because I'm about to say about him, he's like my soulmate dog.
Mm-hmm.
And people, we were talking about, it was Valentine's weekend, we were doing a live, or I was on someone else's live, and we were talking about who's your soulmate. And I'm like, wow, y'all gonna laugh, but my soulmate is my dog. Mm-hmm. And even if I had a partner, my soulmate would still be my dog. And they're like, I know people saying, oh, it's a dog, it's a dog. No. Zach is my, Hope is my child. I raised her. Zach, they're all rescued. All my animals are rescued. Zach is like he reads in here. He reads me so well. And I don't have to say anything. He just knows Mom is having a moment. And he's even now, if I could show you my camera, he's literally on the floor, sprawled out like 2 inches away from my chair. He's always with me. And the thing was, when I was asked to foster a dog, a small black terrier from a rescue, and this is like 9, 10, 11 years ago, and I said, I can do a small dog, not a big dog, yada, yada, yada. It turned out the small dog was too aggressive with children. And I had seen his picture, and I kept going by it about 10 times to say, I can't, my house is not big enough, I can't. And he was licking his nose, his ears were flat back, there was people standing beside him, and I'm like, I had a collie before, I know the high maintenance dogs and so on, but I still don't have room for him. So when the small dog fell through because he didn't like children, I must be a terrier too. But so she said, can you foster reference number, blah, 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 whatever it was. And it turned out to be Zach. Oh. And maybe me. Yeah, okay, definitely. A week later, I said, I need his adoption papers. So I have him about 10 years now. And so he's like my soulmate. So Rob, because I'm typically Irish, I make a long story short. And we all know me. Can animals be your soulmate? It doesn't have to be humans. Can animals? You can have a human soulmate. Can you have a soulmate animal?
I believe that you can. Yeah, and I think that my dog Dolly was that. The Weimaraner who just passed a year and a half ago. I feel her all the time. I feel her around. She's everywhere. So, yep. One thing I wanted to mention really quickly to Chrissy is that your dog, Sasha, was inspired by her dog, Keisha, to come up to get on screen so that it would be a message to Chrissy that Keisha is still very much with her.
Yay.
Oh, wow.
So that's a very powerful message right there, because none of your other dogs have come up today yet, right?
Yep. That's
Only
true.
Sasha. And Sasha did that because Keisha inspired her to do that.
Oh, my goodness.
That's how it works.
And And Rob, I always said about Sasha, because she's a rescue dog as well, and I always joke about, God, she's this. I've had about 8, 9 Yorkshire Terriers, and Sasha's this like, squirrel. Where I keep saying that she has ADHD or ADD or she's something like, and she's kind of like bonkers. But I see her differently now from Thursday when I brought Sage home, that she was like the protector, because Bella, my Yorkshire Terrier, is 20 and she had her leg removed last year and she's getting old now. And so Bella used to stay with me all the time when I'm hand raising kittens. Sasha has now taken over, and Sasha has surprised me. So when Sasha jumped up, oh, that's so good. That's so awesome. That's brilliant. Yeah, that's brilliant. So Sasha now is changing now. She's not as ping pong ball as I thought she is. She still is, but do you hear my dog snoring?
Yes. Yes. It's good. It's good stuff. It's comforting. If the dog wasn't snoring, I wouldn't know.
Well, yes. Hopi, good girl. Hopi, good girl.
That made me feel fantastic too. And I see that Sasha came up so that Chrissy would know Keisha was around.
That's brilliant.
Really,
yeah, that's how it works.
Know so much more than we give them credit for. Dogs and cats know much more than we give them credit for.
Right. True. Well, then, and on that respect, can I go back a little bit when we talk about the paranormal and dogs and what they see, just for a couple more minutes? I just wanted to relate a long time ago in a place far away, about 15 years ago, I had a terrible attachment, and every night, my dogs would position themselves on the corner, the bottom of the bed, like they were guarding me, and you could see that, like, even my husband, who doesn't really want to be involved in paranormal, but guess what, he is because of me. But you could watch the black swirling, like, and it would like come at you and come at me, and the dogs would position themselves and like start growling, and they would not sleep until this thing disappeared, right? And so it was one thing that kind of convinced my husband too that maybe all this was real, was because the dogs were reacting. I'm like, yeah, I'm a human and I'm telling you all this stuff's going on, but nah. As soon as the dog lays on the bed and growls at the corner at the top of the room, he's like, it's all real. Mm-hmm. Anyway, that's beside the point. But do you think that were they just reacting to what they were seeing, or do you think they can actually act as guardians or as some sort of a shield between you and the spirit realm?
I think they can warn us, certainly. Once they're in spirit, they can protect us.
Okay.
So I'm not sure about living dogs, though. I mean, I think living dogs are more, they act more like guardians, but it's not that they have a special ability over something paranormal.
Okay, yeah. So then a follow-up question would be, when you know how people, everyone, if you do the protection thing before you go into a location, a lot of people say, they talk to their deity or whatever. Would it be unreasonable then to say, like, how everything that I normally do for protection, plus you could call on maybe some of your pets that are passed that to come with me and
Sure.
help guard me against any negativity or that sort of thing?
Yeah, absolutely. They can all protect us from the other side. We just have to, and that includes people and pets. So just call on everybody that you need to gather around you when you go into these places.
Right. I feel like I would trust some of my pets that have passed more than people that have passed. Here I go. That's my theme for the night. I just I don't like people, but I do love people.
So I have to share something with you about. So when my dog Buzz passed, I was devastated, and my dad passed like 3 years after that, and it was crushing to me about my dad. But 5 years later, my mother passed in 2013, and my mother and I are very close, and it did not affect me half as much as Buzz's passing did. Because I guess maybe because I'm also a medium, my mother was always, she came around pretty quickly, but it wasn't emotionally crippling like it was when Buzz passed.
Yeah.
Plus, at my mother's wake, I would tell you this, I was at my mother's wake. I was standing there over her casket, and my husband was standing behind me, and my mother came to me and said, "Can you get them to darken my eyebrows because it doesn't look right?"
No.
And I was like, "No, I can't do that." And my husband came over to me and said, "Don't tell me. Your mother wants her makeup fixed." And I said, "Yep."
So funny. I love it. That's actually quite hilarious. Because oh my gosh,
I can see that being a thing. I can see that being a thing because you're like, especially if you have to. I know this is silly. If you have to appear in like the last thing you were wearing or what you look like, you're like, can you please fix my eyebrows because I don't want to go through eternity with these eyebrows.
She was very about her appearance. Even at 85 years old, yeah, she would put makeup on to go out to take the trash outside.
Oh lordy!
Oh no, I know that type of person for sure.
If my camera goes crazy. I want to throw this in for a second now. Chrissy's saying, and what is so weird tonight? About an hour before I joined, we found a cross necklace we had made with Keisha's 4 in it that my son had misplaced about 5 months ago. It came from nowhere. My son said, "Oh my God, Mom, I found my necklace."
So that right there is even more proof that Keisha is still very much giving her signs that she's still around tonight. So 2 signs from Keisha.
Right. Well, that's one of your books about the signs that you can know. Like, can you tell us about some of the signs that we might just ignore in everyday life that are really messages from maybe our pets that have passed?
Sure. So there are a number of ways that pets communicate from the other side. So you talked about nails on the floor. You talked about barks or meows that always sound like they're from another room. That's because it takes so much energy. You may find fur. You may find a piece of their fur somewhere. They will lead you to it. You may find, you may run into someone that looks, another dog or cat that looks like them, whether it's online or in person. They're leading you to that person, that dog or cat, so you know they're still around. They can influence things in nature. They can influence things like birds and butterflies and dragonflies to behave oddly. And I can't tell you the number of things that's happened with. They can use flowers. One woman told me that her dog passed away in the backyard under a rose bush. Every time she thinks of her dog, she smells roses.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So there's a variety of ways. You can see them, of course. When my dog Buzz passed, right after I adopted Dolly, who was another Weimaraner, I was in my kitchen. It was 9:30 at night. I will never forget it. And I turned, and there was the back end of a Weimaraner. Buzz was a Weimaraner. Dolly was a Weimaraner. And I thought it was Dolly. And I followed what I thought was her into my living room. I lived in a townhouse, so there was one way in and one way out of the living room. Disappeared. The dog disappeared. And I turned on the light. I'm like, "Dolly, where are you? I was just following you." Turned out I ran upstairs. Dolly was sound asleep, curled up on my bed. It was Buzz that I was following into the other room. So you can see that sometimes.
I wish I could see mine. Yeah. I wish I could see mine. I do. Oh my goodness, I do.
It's rare that you actually see them invisibly, in full color. Usually we see them as shadows out of the corner of our eye for just a second.
Yeah.
I still have Dolly's bed, big bed, and every now and then I'll look on the bed and I'll see her shadow and it'll disappear.
Like it would be a tragedy if I went to bed and my bedroom door was shut and one of the English Mastiffs wasn't in there for whatever tragic reason they didn't make it in. But it's been over a year since I lost them both.
Wow. And
from time to time, I have gotten up and opened the door because the crying one, like, oh, the tragedy, I'm on the other side of the door. Like literally I can hear them just like when they were alive, literally. And I'll get up and I just say, forget it. I'm going to get up and open the door, even though it's been a year. Come on in, get on the bed, go to bed, that sort of thing, or whatever. And it stops. It works. I do have a lot of other stuff going on in this house, but the dogs, they're still here, and yes, they let me know. And when you said like finding dog hair, and like I said, it's been over a year. I literally found one of either it was Allosaurus or Brontosaurus, whichever one. But I was like, oh look, a hair in my coffee, and then I was like, holy crap, it's one of the dog hairs. It's one of the mastiff hairs. Yeah, that's so I was like, you can give me messages in other ways. Like you don't have to put dog hair in my coffee.
Your coffee. I see behind me now, Toby, my cat, is sleeping in Sage's bed. Aww. And I wanted to get that blanket off because I wanted to smell Sage. Is that really bad?
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to smell Sage, even though it's just going to be probably pee, because Sage has a disability and could not, do things for himself, which is why I was 24/7 care. So I'm like, who's going to pee in my bed now? Who's going to pee in my bed? Will Sasha do it? Will Hobie do it?
It's a long trip, but I can come over. It's a long trip.
What did you say? It's a long trip.
It's a long trip, but I can come over. Anything for you, my friend. Now, I just was putting up that Irene. I didn't realize that Irene.
Oh, yeah, Irene's here.
Pets, that sort of thing. She says, I see your dogs and they are with you. And if she's talking about me and my dogs, I appreciate the message. I do. I do feel like they're still with me.
I'm watching you.
So there are three things that I would like to talk about that may help people. Number one is how our loved ones are on the other side. Number two, how pets will tell me how they passed. And in one case, there were 4 Westies that told me how they passed because their mother wasn't sure how they passed. And number 3, about a dog that used social media to convey his presence.
Like this one here tonight with Chrissy's dog is using social media, or Sasha uses social media.
Okay, I'm super interested. Yeah. Tell us about it.
So which one would you like to hear first?
I'd like to hear about the Westie.
Yes.
The Westies.
The Westies. Okay. So a woman named Ginny had written me, and she said that her Westies all passed, and she didn't know how they passed away. So in my Pets in the Afterlife 3 book, I have a chapter. I did a reading for her. It's called Ginny's Westies and Solving Their Mysterious Deaths.
Okay.
And so what she did, so it's very, usually whenever I do a pet reading, if you have more than one pet on the other side, the other ones always come through. They may not talk to each other. They may not talk, depends on their personalities. If you have one pet that was more forceful, if you will, or more personable, they will speak first. The other ones will tend to be in the back. So anyway, Ginny wanted to know how they passed. So one of them told me that she was bitten by a snake at the back of her backyard. And when I wrote to Ginny and I told her about that, she wrote me back and she wrote, "Oh my gosh, we were always afraid of snakes when we lived in that particular residence, and we wondered if that's what happened." So she was able to confirm that that's what happened. There were so many others. I'm trying to remember the other way that they passed away.
She had 4 different. She had 4 different ones, right? So we have the snake.
Another one was renal failure. Okay. So kidney failure.
Yeah.
And another one had a heart defect. And
okay.
And she confirmed, she was able to confirm all of those things, that she suspected that those were the causes for those different dogs. But they all came through one at a time and told me how they passed away.
As you're talking here, as we're talking, I'm just going to put up a few banners of Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. I'm going to put up the your websites on YouTube as we're talking. So anybody who wants to get in contact with you can contact you through these pages. So I'm just going to have them up here. So anyone that wants to, so we can talk away and just have these up.
Absolutely, you guys. I'll go to any of these sites to contact Rob, and it'd probably be super easy just to go to Amazon, type in his name, and you can find all of his books there. Buy them all twice.
There's not too many people with my last name, by the way. So it's a massacred French name.
Guthro.
Did I say it right?
Guthro.
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 Yeah.
That's it, right. Was that right?
So just so you know, Jen, I'm a quarter Irish, a quarter French, and I'm half Italian.
Oh, really? Oh, so now I'm thinking of the language now to say hi to. I was going to say one.
And I only speak Spanish as a second language.
So yeah, give me 40,000 markers. My goodness, my Irish is really bad. French, bonjour. Italian, buongiorno. That's all I know. And I got the two right, but the Irish one, God, if anyone can help me out with the Irish of saying hello. What's hello in Irish? I forget.
Hello.
In Gaelic, what's hello in Irish?
In Gaelic? Oh my God.
Oh, I'm so bloody bad. I'm so bad. No, I'm saying slán, but slán is bye. Okay, so I want to get on to something else for just a wee second, because I'm just doing a lot of work in the background here.
Yeah.
I'm getting all of these.
I could help, but I'm not. No, I can't. I don't know what you're working on.
I'm putting up all the Facebook, the YouTube, the Amazon, so it can go across.
I don't know where you want to go next, but I do have questions. It's just up to what's
go
next?
for it. Ask
I
questions.
just wanted to ask, do you read off pictures of animals? And Jenny and I both, I think, have uploaded some pictures. If you felt like doing that, if you don't want to do readings, you don't have to. And would you accept if someone from our chat room sent us a picture or something? Would you be willing to do that for the show?
So so every medium does readings differently.
Thank you, Teresa. Here's hello very quickly. Sorry, Rob. Here's hello in Irish. Diaz Mira did. Sorry, I always got to go by. Diaz Mira did. Hello. That's Irish. That's hello in Irish. Diaz. Can you all pronounce it?
Diaz Mira did. That's
good. You see, it's not shocking now. I need to do my homework now before St. Patrick's Day.
That's pretty cool.
But anyway, sorry, Rob, go ahead.
Okay. How do you do your readings? Yes.
So the way I do my readings is because I need a lot of concentration. So I do my readings at night and I do them strictly online because I need to actually get a picture of the pet and the pet's name. I usually ask the pet parent's name and how many people are in the house, because if there are children, the children always want to be addressed. And it's like a conversation. If you don't ask the pet about the children, they won't talk about the children. And then the children will say, well, the pet didn't love me. And that's not true.
Right.
So I do them by email. I need a picture of the pet. I need the pet's name. I need the number of people in the household and any questions. And that's
okay. So us just flashing pictures of you right now really won't.
Well, if I tune you both out and everybody else, then I can focus on them.
Everyone's silence. Yeah. Silence. Okay.
Yeah. Can you give me some silence? No. So
that's
that's why
fine.
I do it by email.
Okay, that's absolutely fantastic. And do you charge for the readings?
I do have a minimum charge. Yeah, it's $20 US. Because each reading, believe it or not, takes me 30 minutes to write up. It's not just your dog is fine. That's not that's not a reading. Usually they come through with their personalities, with maybe they share their illnesses, what they liked in life, all kinds of things.
Sure.
Yes.
And just that, I don't think you have to justify why you charge. Your time is valuable. You're putting the work in. No matter how it is that you get your information and where it comes from and what realm from the animal, for however you get that, your time is valuable, and there's absolutely zero wrong with you charging.
Well, thank you. So I will tell you, for the first 10 years, I didn't charge anything. And then my husband says, I don't see you on the weekends at all because you're upstairs on the computer doing readings all weekend long. And I'm like, he said, your time is valuable. And I'm like, well, yeah. I said, okay. So after 10 years, I finally gave in.
Well, someone told me when I was grooming, I was charging too little. And they said, if you're good at something, don't do it for free.
That's right.
You know? If you're good at something, don't do it for free. And I know many of us, I did, Keisha, Chrissy now, Keisha, I'm saying Keisha. I have the picture of Keisha, I keep calling it Keisha. Chrissy, do you want me to put the picture up?
We'll just show, well, we talked about Keisha so much, we can see.
Sure.
Let's
this is
see.
good. Okay. Let me. Okay.
Not for reading, just let's see.
Okay, give me 1 second.
The show me your babies thing. Show me your babies.
1 second. Yeah, we should have saying throw your babies up. Give me 1 second. I'm going in the background and getting Keisha's picture up.
But no, there's nothing wrong with that, but that actually bleeds into the regular paranormal field, Rob. Just curiously, what do you think about groups that charge for, say, let's just go groups that charge to do a residential investigation? What would you think about that?
So,
not to put you on the spot, but go.
Yeah, the group that I belong to doesn't charge anything. We do it because of our love, our passion for it, and that is more of a hobby than anything else. It's not one person giving their time specifically to help another person, or I don't know. To me, it's more of an adventure than doing readings. For me is more like almost like therapy to help someone get through their grief and so forth. It's much more of an emotional thing. The other thing is more of a kind of almost a recreational thing.
Okay.
For the people that are involved. But there is an importance to it too, and that is to, number one, bring peace to the people that have a haunting, and number two, bring peace to the ghost and have them cross over. So
right. I would just, I can agree with you on that. And I add that I rarely do residentials, but they're not, I don't charge for those, obviously. And a lot, I find myself more on the research end of the scale. So I want to do as many of those similar experiments as I can in every location that I can possibly get them done. So if I get an opportunity to go to someone's house versus one of those paid locations where everybody goes to every weekend, I'll definitely do it. Although I don't ever claim that I can cross anybody over. I know that that's what makes residentials a little bit harder. I think a lot of people avoid them because more than likely the person who owns the house wants a resolution to their issue, and you can go pay at these big locations. They don't want a resolution, so.
Yeah. I have a picture of Keisha here. I'm going to stick up now.
Okay, let's see Keisha.
Beautiful.
Oh,
look at that
face. Oh my goodness.
Adorable.
The chair, the little chair.
She looks like a queen. She looks like a princess. She knows
how cute.
Her ways.
How cute.
I'm looking at her little box face.
Yeah.
And her envelope ear.
Oh.
She's gorgeous. She's so beautiful.
So, I went through this whole phase, and this has nothing to do with reading animals or whatever, but when we were all shut in during the pandemic and that sort of thing, even if I drove down the street and someone was walking their dog, I had to stop myself from rolling down the window and shouting, "I love your dog. I love you," or just not even addressing the human, just go, "I love you now." That sort of so crazy. I just say, I'm
driving down the road and this good-looking guy walking his dog, and they're both fabulous, and I'm like, oh my God, look at that. And say the ex-boyfriend or the boyfriend or whatever at the time, and say, oh my God, Jenny, look, really, I'm like the dog. Look at the dog. I'm always looking at the dog first, and people say, and I'd say hi, and then immediately, it's not now. I have learned to say, can I pet your dog? Which is what we have to do, which is respect, courtesy,
right. Because previously you just walk up and grab the person by the face, shove them backwards, and then grab their dog.
That's what I do. But my dogs won't even give me that option. When I take my dogs out, they don't give me that option. They're kind of like, I'm going to say hi to this human person, come up the road. I don't care if you like it or not. I'm going to say hi. And so the person was like, oh my God, your dogs. And then, there was, I had my two big dogs out walking, and she's kind of like walking on the road saying, oh my God. How Jack Russell was choking itself trying to kill my two big dogs. And I'm like, hello. I have an Akita Newfoundland mix and a Collie German Shepherd mix. And they're kind of like ignoring, because I'm like, no, we're going to the park. And then the woman kind of got out of my way because I've got two big dogs. But her dog was like hanging itself, trying to no, I want to kill your big dogs. Yeah. Kind of like the small dog syndrome kind of thing going on. So my dogs are big dogs. There's one thing I want to ask you again, Rob, as well, and it's not about pets. It's about human spirits. And I am intrigued in this as well. You can make the distinction between a ghost and a spirit. And this is something we always said, we're going, for ghosts, or we're going for spirits. Yeah. And it's the same word. Is it like two different words, same meaning? Or are they both different, that you distinguish between ghost and spirit?
So that was actually my kind of breakthrough idea, because as a medium, I've learned that there is a difference. There are similarities, but there is a difference between the entities. And if you're a realtor, you know it's location, location, location. Right? So here's the basics that I learned what happens after we die is that the energies within us, coupled with memories, personality, and knowledge, that makes up a soul that we talked about already. That soul makes a decision. And for pets, there really is no decision, because pets can see the light. They sense the light when they die. Mm-hmm. They usually go to it because what they sense, and pets have this sense, they sense love and peace and hope, and they walk right over to it. People, on the other hand, can be stubborn, as we know. So we can fight that, and we can make a conscious choice to stay earthbound, usually at a fixed location of our choosing, and that's what I call a ghost. A spirit is one that crosses over. There's also an energy difference. So both ghosts on Earth and spirits that have crossed over, they use heat, light, water, and electricity to get strong enough to give us a message. But earthbound ghosts use negative emotional energy. Spirits use positive emotional energy. Okay. Negative emotional energy is fear, anxiety, depression, and anger. Those things fuel a ghost. So if you go into a haunted location and you're anxious or you're nervous, you're giving that ghost the strength to communicate with you. Nice. Spirits of our loved ones rely on love, faith, and hope. That's what brings them back.
Okay. So part of one thing that you said was that that humans, when they pass, we have a decision to make, and that maybe that they are stay in a location by choice. Mm-hmm. What is your thought process on? I've been told this before, and I'm not sure what I think about it. I've really spent my whole career trying to disprove it, but I don't know. When you pass violently or unexpectedly in some terrible way, that you're stuck just by default in that location. What do you think of that?
Yeah, so I've run into that quite a few times, and that what happens is if we die in a tragic accident, or if someone is murdered, for instance, they usually have a blackout period seconds before they die, and then they wake up as energy with a conscience, and they're confused, and they don't know what happened to them. And they stay put looking for answers. It happens to soldiers on battlefields. It happens to people in hospitals. It happens to people in prisons. They wake up and they don't know where they are. Mm-hmm. And they look for answers. And we don't know how long it takes, how long they have before they lose the ability to cross over. But it seems to be the case that they lose that ability, or they lose the know-how.
All right. So, but do you think some of them do find that answer and figure it out? Let's just say a murder victim maybe figures it out. Otherwise, sure. And the other concept to me that I don't know that anybody has the answer to is the concept that you do run out of time for that there's some sort of portal that may be slowly closing, and once it's gone is until someone like ourselves comes along and helps reopen or show them the light, that they just can't get it back on their own without outside assistance. Is that
sure? Yeah, so I can give you an example of that. One of the earliest readings I did when my abilities reawakened was from an accident victim in 2006. My husband was going to work, and he went to work, and when I went to work later, like 2 hours later, I called him and I said, was there an accident because there's a Hispanic man that is standing in the middle of the street, and he tells me that he died in a car accident today, and he's confused. So when my husband said, yeah, there was a pickup truck that had come off the highway ramp, and was overturned, and it looked like somebody died. Well, that was the man that was standing there.
Wow.
When I came back from work, there were flowers and a memorial set up for this man. This man recognized that he had died. When I drove by in the morning, he was confused. When I drove by at night, he was gone. He had crossed over because his relatives had found out he died there, and they put a memorial there.
Oh
and
my gosh.
Yeah.
And because he had such a tragic, quick death, that it takes, as I have learned, or I've been told or learned, that, a tragic death is like, it's too fast for them to realize that you've passed over, which is why he was being confused.
Yeah. That's what I understood.
Yeah.
That makes me think of my brother David, who passed away about a little over a year ago, and Lori Wagatha, who owns, she's one of the owners of Wildwood Sanitarium in Salamanca, New York. Anyway, we were there, and she said, oh, your brother's here. And there was a long story. She told me a lot of stuff, but one thing she said was, he's telling me it took him about 4 days to figure out what happened, because it was really quick. It was like an aneurysm or a stroke or something. But it was, but she said it took him 4 days to figure out that he had passed.
Really?
And so I was like, did it? Because you just hear this from one person, and although I love her and everything, it's just, you just kind of wonder, is that how it really goes? And so does it follow-up question then again is, say it's been 25 years since someone was murdered. Can you still go to that site and now put down a memorial or something like that and help them see the light, do you think, and move on, even if it's been that long? Or is there a time period where no matter what you do, they're just stuck now? Or
that I don't have an answer to that. That's a good question. I would say that unless you feel them there, it doesn't mean that all murder victims get left behind by any means. Because usually when we die, even if it's by murder or suicide or anything, our relatives in spirit are usually there to come help us across.
Okay.
It's just those that choose to ignore them because they are set on, their mind is set on something else, like trying to find out what happened to them or whatever.
Yes.
Do you think there's the fear of punishment too? Is there that thing? Is that real? Because we talk about it sometimes. Maybe they stayed because they're bad people and they're scared of their punishment or judgment, or I guess, and does that applies to the doctrine that they held, or they're, when they were
That's a great question. And I have learned that people who are the most religiously conservative are the ones that stay behind more as earthbound ghosts, because they fear what's on the other side. And ironically, there's nothing but love and faith and hope and care on the other side. My idea of hell is being trapped in eternity, earthbound as a ghost in a fixed location where no one can hear you for eternity.
Oh my God.
It does sound like hell to me. It does.
That kind of resonates a little bit with me. That Earthbound kind of resonates a wee bit with me. But I'll talk in private about that to you.
Yeah.
Because it does resonate a little bit with me. But
I'm sure Rob has some sort of idea that we're out down the trail of personal thought processes.
Yeah, and just when Rob was saying about the worst part of stays in eternity and Earthbound, and oh my goodness, it's not something I want to talk about out on open live, but I will talk about it to you in private.
So a ghost. I have one. Is it okay, Jay? I have another, one more.
No,
so we have ghosts and we have spirits, and spirits are the ones that come to us, and they use our energy in the sense of with love and faith and all of that sort of thing. Now, once they cross, let's say a spirit, positive being, they have crossed. They saw the light or the tunnel or however you want to describe it. Can they freely come and go back and forth? So that's, once they're gone, they're not just gone to the next realm forever necessarily. They can visit at their choice or when you call on them, maybe.
Yeah. So what I found too is that there are usually 3 occasions that spirits will come visit us and give us signs: birthdays, anniversaries, and holidays.
Okay.
Because when we're alive, and pets do the same thing, because pets can sense our emotional energy elevated around birthdays, anniversaries, and holidays, so they come and visit. And that it could be your birthday, it could be the pet's birthday, it doesn't matter. Even the passing date of the pet. Because in spirit, we maintain our memories and our knowledge and so forth of this life. So we know that we like to be around others during birthdays, anniversaries, and holidays. In terms of pets, in 2009, I will never forget this day. My husband and I were on vacation in Puerto Rico, and we'd never been to Puerto Rico, and we were walking around. And we came to a street that had 5. It was like a circle that had 5 streets off of it. And he looked at me and he said, "Okay, we've never been here. It's Old San Juan. Where do you want to go?" And I just looked, and I thought about it for a second, and I felt like I was being nudged to go down one street. Okay. Well, so he said, "So why do you want to go down that street?" I said, "I don't know. I feel like I'm being pushed to go down that street." So we went down that street. At the end of the street, there was a dog walker. The dog walker had about, 7 dogs. Only one of them was a Weimaraner who looked like Buzz. And then I heard Buzz say, "Dad, do you know what today is?"
Oh, it's magnificent.
It was the anniversary of his passing.
Oh, gosh.
It was February 22nd, 2009. And I just got choked up.
Yeah.
That's just
got full body chills.
Yeah. And he says, "Dad, I want you to know I'm still here."
Yes. Oh my gosh. And you think,
yeah,
and that's the signs that I want too, is what you have, Rob. I want my signs from my cat. I know it's probably too early to get it from him, but I kind of need them. I kind of need it. I need my little sage to say, because like I said, he's 24/7, and I have his hair in my phone.
He's a sweet
boy.
I
feel his hair, and I have his little vial of hair here beside me. The vets gave me.
So you already got a sign because your cat went into his bed.
He's an arsehole of a cat. He's gonna get into anybody's bed.
But he went into Sage's bed, though, while you were talking about it.
Sorry, Rob?
He went into Sage's bed while you were talking about Sage tonight.
But he's an arsehole of a cat. And anybody's cat. He'll take anybody's bed.
It doesn't mean it's not a sign, though, right?
We all have relatives like that, but they'll still come through to us.
And do you know what the thing about Sage is? For the 10, 11 months that I had him, he never meowed. He was special needs. He never, ever, ever meowed. Not once. Not once. One time he did. He made a sound when the food was coming. But he never meowed after that. He never made a sound. He purred, but he never meowed. Oh, he meowed when I was watching him because he hated it. Because I had to wash him. I had to wash his back end, because of special needs, and he never meowed apart from that. And I'm like, "Oh, I want to hear your voice, meow." But only for that, he never meowed at all. Yeah, I kind of need, and I have his hair in this file, and I have his hair in my phone in the back pocket, and I felt it last night, and it kind of crumbled me because it's not him. Like, I genuinely miss him so bad. Really?
Yeah, I have a piece of Dolly's fur in my wallet and a piece of tape pressed together, and I look at it.
Yeah, I tend to keep my dogs' brushes, their particular brush. Like, I can look over right now and see their brush and leave the hair in it. I have my cat brush, who the cat's passed 25 years ago. And
really,
I still have it. I'm not a hoarder, I swear, but I keep the animals.
Not a hoarder.
I can, because I can still touch it. I'm not a hoarder, but I can. But I have everything. I have all the things.
When I was about 8, oh gosh, I was in my 20s, and my Yorkshire Terrier, Sasha, who passed away, and oh my goodness, like, wow, it was oh my gosh, I go into a dark path, when it comes to my animals passing away. I go into a path that I'm like, yay, I'm smiling, but inside I'm like, I want to go to my room and just like drink wine all day, and like I am having wine now because I don't care. But I get it. Oh my goodness, my very, very good friend passed away about 5-6 weeks ago. My very good friend, and I cried about her the other day. So like all I seem to be doing is crying. I cry over my human friend and I cry over my pet. All I seem to be doing is bloody crying, which is why my glasses on, because if I take them off, I'm going to look like this. And we don't want to look like this because I look tired. But
well, they don't want us to forever grieve them. They want us to celebrate the time that we had with them and do something in their memory, whether it's adopt a new pet or, give something to a charity or just talk about them, because they want to let others know that they made some kind of a mark on your life.
They did, but I tell you how my heart hasn't been like shredded by now, and I'm like, whatever age I am, I'm not telling it on live, but my heart is like shredded. Like, and I keep saying never again. I will just be carried out with my collie and my chihuahua and Sasha, and I love all of them. Is it really bad, Rob? Is it really bad that you have multiple animals, but you always have a favorite?
No.
Doesn't mean that you don't love the others any less.
Sure, it's just like people. I mean, you bond. That's why you have a best friend versus, a number of friends.
And I think parents tell their kids that they don't have a favorite, but I know that's a lie. All the parents, like I'm not a parent, but if I had kids, I'm sure I'd have a favorite. The rest of you get out.
Jessica said, my 18-year-old says to me, Mom, who's your favorite child, me or Elsa? And I said, none. I like my dogs.
I don't like any of you.
None of you. I like my dogs. And she goes, you knew it. Well, then why did you ask? I like my dogs.
I have another story for you about my mother then.
Yes. Okay.
Because I have two brothers and I'm in the middle. And my mother always used to say that her favorite child was Gigi, her poodle. And she would say that in front of all of us all the time. And when my mother was when my mother passed, she got a stroke and she was in a hospital for like five days. And she was really in a vegetative state. She was in a coma. And the doctor had called me and my husband. We live 400 miles away, and he said, "Look, your mother's had a stroke. She's really not going to make it." But he said, "Come up here in 2 days. Take your time. I know you have dogs. Just come up here and don't worry about it." So we went up there. As soon as we walked in the hospital, my two brothers had been there overnight, 24 hours for 2 days. As soon as we walked in the hospital, my dad, who passed away in 2008, walked in behind me, and he was holding my mother's favorite dog, the poodle.
Oh my goodness.
And Dad said, "Tell her I'm here, and tell her that I'm here with Gigi, and we're both waiting for her." So, of course, my husband knows that, I have this gift, and he's good with it. And he's like, "Are you talking to somebody?" And I'm like, "My dad." So I went over and I talked to my mom, and I said, "Mom, I know you can hear me. Dad's here and Gigi's here." And then my dad said, "She doesn't want anybody in the room." So I told my brothers, I said, "Dad said that Mom does not want anybody in the room. She wants to pass without anybody here. And you guys have been here for 48 hours.
Okay.
So they both said, okay, reluctantly. We all left that night. My mother passed in 5 hours, knowing that my dad was there and her favorite dog were waiting in spirit.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
See, that's like, if I can say it, a nice person.
Yeah.
And she's very lucky to have given you her wishes and that you could read them. Yes. And she got what she wanted. Not many people get that,
Well, my dad told me,
That's perfect, because your mom got the wishes. Oh, your dad got the wishes, what your mom wanted. So your mom and dad were
able to tell you. That's a unique situation. It really is.
It is, yeah.
Situation.
God, not a lot of people get that.
I know that your mom was in a state where she really couldn't communicate, but do you think that she was aware? Let's say you were not a medium. Do you feel like she would have been aware of your father's presence before her passing? You know how they say like your loved ones come to come take you. Do you think that's a thing?
I think eventually she would have. But so, and there's another interesting thing about when two people pass. I mentioned earlier that if you have several pets and one of them is more vocal than others, they'll come through first.
Yes.
The same thing has happened with my parents. And my parents really taught me that, because in life, my dad was a very quiet Irishman and my mother was a very
quiet vocal, and he's Irish?
Yeah, well, he's French and Irish. My mother was a very vocal, very animated Italian.
Okay.
So my dad would always step back and let my mother do all the talking. When my dad passed in 2008, I would hear from my dad quite often. When my mom passed in 2013, I don't hear from my dad anymore. I only hear from my mother.
Oh my goodness, are you kidding me?
He steps back and he lets her do all the talking.
That's a little bit fun
with the pets. And when I just want to like to tell everybody who's listening and to you, Rob, when I say spirits and this and that and do things, I'm literally mixing in the pets and the people in the same thing, because to me, like I said, we talked about at the beginning, it's all energy. It's all that, they're all in the personality. So when I ask questions, definitely not just asking about humans or pets. It's literally the whole shebang. All of us living entities that end up being energy when we're done. Just wanted to put that out there. But also, real quick too, the one reason why I had asked.
Can I 1 second? I'm going to let my cat in from the front door.
Okay.
Give me 2 seconds, guy. Give me 2 seconds. Sorry.
I was asking, do you think that your mom was aware that your dad was there giving you messages, or was she aware? Just I know it's just the thought process, but I was in a room with my grandmother right before she passed, and she suddenly seemed to become aware of things. And she was looking at things in the room that none of us could see. Now, I was I was 16 and wasn't really aware of everything I am now, obviously. But she said one thing that I'll always remember. She pointed at the floor and she goes, "Get that dog out of here. If the nurse finds a dog in the hospital, we're all going to get in trouble." And we all looked and there was no dog. But I was thinking, now I think she was actually seeing one of her dogs maybe or something like that. And that's why I was.
Wow.
And then, so it was kind of strange.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah. So I didn't know if it was a thing like we're all going to see, like even before we pass, are we going to see our pets and our people and that sort of thing, because everybody says, oh, your family members are going to be there to greet you. And I'm thinking, I prefer it was the dogs and cats or whatever's best.
Yes. So that's true. There've been a lot of stories about how people just on their deathbeds really see loved ones. So one of the other stories that I mentioned earlier that we haven't talked about yet is how pets will see loved ones on the other side. And I know Jen has stepped away, but so this is a really emotional story for me. This is from my Pets in the Afterlife 3 book with Dolly. So this is Dolly, the Weimaraner. And I get very emotional about this because she was my heart dog. So when just before Dolly passed away, it all happened very quickly. She was 16. She was almost 16 years old. A week before she passed away, she was walking around the neighborhood, even at 16. She wore a diaper for the last year of her life. She was incontinent with number 1 and number 2, but she was very strong. And she always looked out for the other 2 dogs that we have, the little guys, and bonded to one of them. So the night I realized that was going to be her last night, a disc in her back slipped and it rendered her back legs totally inoperable. She was almost 16 years old, which she's already outlived Weimaraner lifetime by 4 years.
Yes.
So there was nothing that could have been done. And she was totally miserable. I mean, I had to carry her out to just help her at night to go to the bathroom. So that night, and she slept in the kitchen on a big bed. for like the last 6 months of her life because she was incontinent with number 1 and number 2, and with a diaper,
Yeah.
And our little dachshund Franklin, who is, Tyler, instantly bonded with her when we adopted him 10 years ago. So he's now 11, and he grew up sleeping with her, playing with her, eating with her, everything. He's totally bonded to her. So every night for the last 6 months of her life, I slept on the floor in the kitchen on Dolly's bed with Tyler. That last night, and we always waited for her to go to sleep, and then we would get up, and I would take Tyler in my bedroom, and he would go in his bed, and I would go in my bed, and we'd sleep through the night. But we just want to make sure Dolly slept.
Yeah.
So that last night of Dolly's life, we were laying in the kitchen on Dolly's bed, and I fell asleep, and Tyler fell asleep against Dolly. And at 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning, Dolly got up, and she was staring at one side of the kitchen. And I kept telling I was just laying down. And I said, Dolly, get down, lay down, lay down, lay down. She wouldn't do it. Well, Robyn, I looked up over where she was looking. She wouldn't stop staring. Right there.
Oh my God.
Okay, take your time.
Yeah. Very emotional for me. My mom and dad were there in spirit. Our friend Ed, Franklin, who had just passed 5 months before, Sprite, who had passed in 2013, and Buzz, who had passed in 2005.
Oh.
Wow.
So, sorry.
No, it's okay.
Don't ever say sorry. Never say sorry.
So they were all standing there, and I saw them for about 10 seconds, and then they faded quickly. And then she put her head down. Dolly put her head down on the bed right after they disappeared. So that just let me know that they were there.
Mm-hmm.
The next day, after Dolly passed away, I got a text message from my friend Ruth Larkin, who is known as the Beantown Medium, and she said, Rob, I want you to know that Dolly came through and said, Dolly came through and said that your parents were there, and Franklin, Sprite, and Buzz were there, and there was some other guy. She said some other guy.
Which would be Ed, right? Mm-hmm.
And that would be Ed. That would be this guy over here. Yeah.
Oh,
Ed.
wow.
And she said, I want you to know that they just revealed they were there.
Oh my gosh.
Talk about validation, but it's heart-wrenching at the same time.
Yeah. So, So, I mean, for me to see all of them, and I never met Ed in life, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the second time I visibly saw him. The first time was in my rearview mirror.
Oh, not unsettling at all. Yeah.
That's another story. But that is validation that, our pets and our people are waiting for us on the other side.
Oh, I'm counting on it. Oh my God.
Can you imagine in our lifetime of owning so many pets that, and I'm so sorry I came in because I was letting my cat in because this is outside and whatnot, so I didn't get the full story of what happened. Can you imagine? Do you think, Rob, all of our pets, no matter how many pets we've had, like I would have more pets on the other side more than I would humans.
Oh yeah.
Like they will all be there, and from wild birds that I've rescued that have passed away, and kittens that didn't make it through bottle feeding, and and you've tried your best for them. Would they possibly be there? Like even the babies that are like 1 or 2, like a week old, that you're bottle feeding that would not make it through? Gosh, because if that's the case, humans.
I'm just gonna when I pass, then I'm just gonna run and lay on the floor and go. I'm just gonna be ready. Like, come on, let's do this. Let's do the kisses. Let's do it.
Exactly. And for a very long time, I had this phobia and this fear of dying and passing away. And I was so afraid. Now, trust me, I had this major fear of passing away. I'm sure many people do. And I wish I could put my heels into the ground when it happens, because I don't know how to do it and nobody knows how to do it. And I'm so scared of it that I thought, Jesus, Jennifer, you're going to need therapy for this, because it's so frightening for me. But as I've gotten older and I'm in the field of paranormal, and that I have heard intelligent responses, and I have seen someone before, and I do have someone in my home, and I want to talk about something like that to you, and privately about something like that, and that, oh my gosh, my train of thoughts is so.
Has it relieved you being in the paranormal of that, some of that fear that you had?
My head is basically up my.
No, it's okay. No, it's understandable. You've been through a lot.
My head has been up my arse all week over, like, I'm in my living room and I'm like, right, I need to do this. What room do I go into next? That was me yesterday and today. What room do I need to go into next to do what I have to do? Because my head is being shitty. And that I think if I have the idea that my animals are going to be there, I'm going to that light. I wanted to be an earth angel, but I think I'm going to go to the light. I want to see my pets. I want to see my pets that, oh my goodness, like, there's some people who love their animals, and some people who really, really love the animals, that saying, like you said earlier, people who like almost wanted to commit suicide over the love of the animals. I understand that. Not that I was going to do that, but I understand that fact that I said to my friend today, Jesus, I think it's going to be a Xanax day, because my friend Alex texted me today and said, how are you feeling? And I said, I think it's going to be a break glass in case of emergency and take a Xanax, because I'm in that line of, I'm like, I'm here and I'm doing Jenny, but inside I'm like,
no, I understand.
I'm kind of like, I have to still grieve, and I hate grieving. Like, who likes grieving, for Christ's sake? But I hate the grieving process. I hate it. And it's bloody shit, actually. It's bloody to grieve, and I hate it so much. And I'm grieving at this moment, and I'm pining an awful lot for my sage, like a lot. A lot.
Oh.
Like,
well, know that he's still very much with you, and that that love will always connect the two of you, and he doesn't want you to be miserable. He wants you to celebrate his life, and he wants you to know that he's very thankful for the time that he had with you, because you showed him what love can be, just like he showed you what love can be.
I know so.
Mm-hmm.
I know so. I don't know why I
feel it.
Of course. And all the any defects, those genetic and congenital things, that I'm just saying this because I just think that's physical, like, right? What's left is the love.
It happened quickly. Like, Jesus, if I had known it was going to happen, I, would have prepared for it, but I didn't. I really didn't. I didn't know what I thought it'd be antibiotics. And then I looked at his x-ray, to make the decision. And the decision was not easy to make. It was kind of like, I wish I could.
It was apparent. Yeah.
I showed you the x-ray pictures that it was, wow. It was something that was crap.
Yeah. Yeah.
One thing I learned, Jen, is that sometimes when our pets pass quickly and unexpectedly, they actually sometimes choose to do that, so that it is not as difficult for us, because if they had a longer illness, sometimes it makes it much more emotionally traumatic for us. It's just like pets who will pass in their home when the pet parent goes out. Those pets know that if they waited to pass while the pet parent was there, that would be too traumatic for them. It would be the last vision they would have, the last memory they would have of their pet. And their pet does not want that to be the last memory. They want the memory to be a good one. So
exactly. And what I want to ask you in privately, and I'd like to hope that you will talk to me about this, is about one of my pets passing away when I was out of home. I have an idea what happened, but there's been a debate over what happened to my pet when I was out of the house and how he passed away. It was a shock when I came home.
Okay.
And I did have to bring him to the vet to be put to sleep. But it was a bloody shitty passing. And I have an idea, but I don't know. I do know what happened. I think I do, because I know what was in my house. But I'd like to, if you can, talk in private with me about that. I'd like possibly a reading from you, if that's okay. Because I want to put it to bed. I wanted to put it to bed. I need to put it to bed because it's
we all
kind of
need
like
closure. Absolutely.
I need closure on this little one. I do need closure on it. Yeah, it's been.
So you guys will talk. It kind of makes me think of a recent case that I was working on. We had a couple people and myself were called in to try to find out if this man who had passed in this house, if it was suicide or in fact he had been murdered. And through our investigation, we also found that his two little dogs were also found dead at the time that he was found dead. And of course, they didn't do an autopsy or anything like that because, of course, they're dogs. But what I really suspect is that somebody else poisoned. I think those dogs were poisoned. I do. For some reason, it just sticks to me. And I'm wondering, like, is there a way, if I could get pictures of those dogs, and I would pay for your time, obviously, too. I'm very curious if I could send you those pictures, if I can get my hands on pictures of these dogs, if you would help me, Rob, maybe to figure out because who it was, the person who perspective maybe had passed from suicide that didn't want his dogs to live on without him, or what. This would help. This is like a key, to also helping solve this case in a way, if it was a third party that, hurt these animals, that would really tell us a lot about everything else that happened in the house. So is that something that you would do a reading for, if I could get my hands on pictures of the dogs?
Sure. Wow. I can try and help out and see what they have to say.
It's hard.
In that case, there's a lot of uncertainty though. If they were in fact poisoned, they may not have seen the person or who did it.
It had just been food appeared and they ate it, and that was
I've heard, unfortunately, several sick cases where people would throw poisoned food to a pet.
Right. Because they were both found at the same time. Just didn't make sense. They were kept in a playpen in the same room where, like, a lot kept into this playpen, as far as I was told, a lot, and that they were both passed. So I'm just thinking, how would that occur if you walked in and you didn't see physical trauma, let's say. Yeah. So that's why I'm the one who's fixated on poison. I don't know that that's what happened.
Yeah. Well, it's too coincidental.
It definitely is. Okay, well, that's something I'm going to work on, trying to get pictures, and then I'll set up a time to send them to you and all of that. I'm quite interested in that.
Rob, I want to ask you more questions.
More questions
about because I'm going through your bio here. Why ghosts stay and what they can do. Why ghosts stay in particular locations and what they can do. Why do they stay? I know we all probably have a wee bit of an idea why they stay, but what can they do as well?
Yeah. So they stay for a number of reasons. I mean, the most common one is to help their families get through the grief, which they can't really do as a ghost. They have to cross over and become a spirit, and then they have much more ability to help their family. Yeah. We talked about the people who are very religious. They're very afraid to cross over. We talked about confusion after being killed or dying. So those are just some of the reasons why they stayed. Others just love where they are. There was a dog that I met that was a ghost, which is very rare. I wrote about him in my Ghosts of England on a Medium's Vacation book. He was in a museum.
Oh, really? Oh my God. It's pretty crazy that you're saying this, because I'm not, sorry for interrupting you. The location that I investigate for the last 7 years, we like to do repetitive, the same location time and time and time again.
That's
just for researching, and not like for, one location this time, one location. We research the crap out of locations. But Alan, the guy that I investigate with in the museum that I go to, he goes, Jen, I seen a plaque on the wall about Flora, the golden retriever. And I'm like, you've only seen it now? Every time I walk by it, I touch the plaque because it's Flora, the retriever. And I think it was like 1700, 1800. Alan, if you're here, correct me if I'm right or wrong. But it's like Flora. And so last night I'm like, Flora. And I said, well, we're going to bring dog biscuits with us the next time. And we go every 2 or 3 weeks. And I know when we listen back on the audio, you heard this terrier back, and I'm like, that's a terrier. And then we heard this woof woof, and I'm like, that sounds like a German Shepherd. But it turned out to be like, we don't know if because it used to be an army place here in Drogheda where I live, and it's about 5 minutes away from me. And the dog sounds like a German Shepherd. It didn't sound like a golden retriever. It sounded like a German Shepherd. But it used to be a place where the army went to. But Flora was one of the dogs that was on the mound. And, I said, right, we need to go.
Okay.
I will go. I always go more for the animals. And I remember back in the, when I say back in the day, about 16 years ago, when I started off and we went to a place up in the north of Ireland. And I was, saying about, I want to call out for the horses and the dogs. So I'm like, yeah. And Mick, the team founder at the time, goes, oh, he's from Dublin. Oh, bleeding Jenny and all bleeding dogs, And I'm like, yes, I'm calling out for the dogs. And I'm like, come here, come on, because I will take you into the bosoms, and you come to me. So I think, as long as we're in this field, we learn every day, because we did again last night. And I'm like, let's go to the animals. Let's talk about the dogs. And my cat had passed away on Thursday, and I'm like, oh, I've got Rob on Saturday, and I'm like, can I make it through it? Do I know how to do it? I'm like, it's kind of like raw for me, but it's kind of like fits in as well. It fits in. Everything fits in. So we were talking about the dogs in Millmount and Sage, and it's not, like it's a subject that not many people talk about.
I mean, how many? You've been doing this show for months and months and months, and
me.
It's not a coincidence. Yes,
I'm over a year.
And then suddenly Rob's here.
I'm doing over a year, and I saying to Rob tonight in the background that I made him about a year and a half ago, and we never got into that conversation about it. We never even got into a conversation. And I'm like, and I seen you on a live a few weeks ago, and I'm like, that's Rob. And I immediately mailed you saying, Rob, it's Jenny from Ireland, I kind of need you on. And it just so happens it was the weekend, and it was just maybe, I don't know, it's things work in mysterious ways.
Is it mysterious? It is mysterious.
No. Rob, what do you think of the Birdcage? Going into a location now. We're going into a location.
Yes, tell us where it is, and for people that don't know, tell us where the Birdcage is and why you went and what do you think of it. Yeah.
Oh, the Birdcage Theater?
Yes.
Oh, okay. All right. So we're really switching it up here.
Switching gears.
We just like, we kind of like.
Well, we just we don't have that much longer to go, and so we have talked about our pets and stuff, but we want to hear about the Birdcage.
Sure. So the Birdcage Theater is located in Tombstone, Arizona. It's in the Old West, and it was in the town that was founded in 1877 when a silver miner found silver there, and then the town he named the silver mine Tombstone, and then the town of the same name built up around it. It became a very popular place because it attracted all kinds of people wanting to take part in the silver. So it was very wild. There were a lot of people that were killed there. It was almost as populated as modern day Los Angeles.
Wow.
There's a lot of people there. They came from all the different states, and Arizona was a territory here at that time. It wasn't a state. So in this town, there was a theater built called the Birdcage, and it served a number of purposes. It was a saloon, of course, an eating establishment. It was a theater that had live theater performances. It was also a gambling den and a house of prostitution. So there are a lot of things going on in there.
Right.
Long story
Diversify.
short,
That's how you make your money. Diversify. But anyway.
Yeah, it was diversified. Long story short, there were 26 people murdered in the Birdcage Theater.
Wow.
In the 8 years of operation. So the Birdcage was opened December 24th, 1881. It closed in 1889 when the silver mines all flooded because they went too far and it went into underground water. So then the town, ironically, I love to say this, when the mines flooded, the town dried up with population. So there's some irony right there, because there was no more, there were no more silver mining.
Yep.
But the Birdcage Theater was a big hub of activity, of course, with all those things. That said, there were quite a number of people there. As I said, 26 people lost their lives in the Birdcage Theater. Now that was a time of Wyatt Earp and the Notorious Cowboy Gang. If anybody has watched the movie Tombstone, have either of you seen the movie Tombstone?
Absolutely. Yes.
I haven't seen it, but I will watch it.
You need to watch it. That's Kurt Russell.
I will watch it.
For a lot of reasons.
That's my tonight's movie.
Oh, yes.
It is. Well, it's 2.5 hours.
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that.
So that movie inspired me to figure out who Wyatt Earp was, and I wound up over the course of years, I wound up going around the country, around the U.S. to different places Wyatt Earp lived, cataloging places he lived, taking pictures. I was going to write a book about him, but I never did.
Oh my gosh!
Not too late. It's not too late, Rob. But anyway.
No, there are too many books about Wyatt.
Yeah.
But when I decided to go to Tombstone in 1994, the year after the movie, a friend of mine came with me, and we decided to have fun with it. I dressed up as Wyatt Earp. He dressed up as Doc Holliday.
Nice.
That's how we visited the town. People thought we were actually reenactors, and they would stop us there. God. So it's
like, no, we just dress like this.
Yeah, we just dress like that. So that's why I actually just regrew my Wyatt Earp mustache, because I'm doing promotions about this book. Normally I don't have a mustache.
I love it. I have that picture. Can I put that picture up?
Sure.
The picture. Let me find it.
So in 1994, when I first went there, my abilities were dormant. Yep, that's actually me standing outside the Birdcage Theater in 1994, dressed up as Wyatt Earp.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the card on the right-hand side.
The 90s were great fun, right? Like,
yeah, the 90s were great. So when I went back in 2019, I went with a friend of mine that had never been to Tombstone. He lives in Arizona. He lives in Phoenix. Has an open mind for paranormal stuff. I told him it'd be fun to go on the ghost tour. We took the 2-hour ghost tour. He saw and photographed one ghost and saw another one.
Wow.
And freaked him out. And I ran into 11 ghosts that night. And for those that weren't photographed, which were 9 of them, I sketched some of them out, and they're in the book as sketches.
You sketch. Like, I love that you sketch. I was reading your bio, and then you sketch. Mm-hmm. My goodness.
Yeah, so I'm a big comic book fan. I used to draw superheroes when I was a kid, and it now has come in handy to sketch dead people.
So, like, when I seen the sketch, and I remember, sorry, Robyn, I remember Nancy and Roger Brown. I want to say hi to you because I know you always watch my lives and investigations, and you always watch the show. So, and Roger's saying, 60s was better.
Well, maybe so. Finally, maybe somebody who's older than me. I was born in 69. I squeezed my way right into the end of 69, but we'll take your word for it, Roger.
That's where like I love they're always like questioning on their lives and so on. And unfortunately, Nancy had passed away a few months ago.
Oh no.
And it was, when you never speak to them personally, but they always watch and say hi. It's kind of sad,
Yeah.
when she's not about,
51.
51. So Roger was born in 51.
One of my favorite people was born in 59. I'm 69. I have a good friend from 79. It's fantastic. But I besides that, Rob, I want to ask you, do you think it's okay to ask spirits to pose for pictures, that sort of thing? And do you think mostly they're willing or not willing or that sort of thing? What do you think about all that?
To ask spirits to pose
for pictures, like come here, stand here, because for instance, we do some long exposure photography and that sort of thing. Like, can you go and stand over here and wait just for 30 seconds while I try to photograph you?
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So what do you think?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, we really have to just treat ghosts, earth-bound ghosts or spirits as people, as the people that they were. And if you ask nicely, then they will either say politely yes or no. One woman that I did a reading for sent me a video after she called her dog in spirit into the room, and an orb flew in from the other room, lingered around the bed spinning, and she said, okay, you can go lay down, and the orb went back out of the room and disappeared. So she asked nicely.
Yes.
And the dog acknowledged her wish. So yes, sure.
Okay. That's interesting.
Look at that beautiful dog.
I know. I'm just in love with Jenny. Look at him.
This is my Sack Mama hug.
Oh, baby.
This is my Sack Mama hug. Look, this is like my Soulmate dog. Sack Mama hug.
So I was this made me think of something else. I was actually, one of my dogs had to be put to sleep at the vet's office, and anytime something like that happens, when it's all over, I say, let's go get in the car. Like I tell them, just like we're leaving as we normally would leave, let's go get in the car. And the last time I was there, and I don't know if it had any effect or not, but I just said, and anybody else that wants to come too. So I don't know if there was like 100 other animals. I said, just everybody go get in the car. Like, and then because I thought, well, I'm taking mine, but what everybody else is going to be staring at me, looking like, what about me? I'm stuck here. I'm sure not many owners. And the vet did look at me really weird because he was still standing there when I was like, let's go get in the car. He was like, oh my God, this lady. But do you think some of them may have come with me? If
they were in spirit. Yeah.
They liked me. I'm like, they have to like me. Right.
Oh, they would be able to sense who, you're
like, come on, I have room for everybody. Snacks for everybody, room for everybody. Let's go.
I want to run
into the Subaru. Once we get home, there's room for everybody.
I want to run through very 3 quick things here before we come off here now. We have a few minutes left. Protection. How would you protect yourself on investigations? And I know some of us would know how to do it, what to do, and so on. Some do, some don't. What kind of protection would you advise people to do on investigations?
A couple of quick things. 1, envision white light around you, positive energy. Number 2, you can ground yourself to a tree. Oops, sorry about that.
That's okay.
Oh no, that's good. My dog there.
So ground yourself to a tree. Other people use gems or different minerals that they hold on to that absorb negative energy, things like that. Anything that will make you feel good and raise your endorphin levels. And when we finish an investigation, we always have a piece of chocolate to raise those endorphin levels and create positive energy so that we can dispel the negativity.
I love that. I never knew that.
Okay. Well, chocolate is going to be on the list. I've done some of the other things, yes, but the chocolate's definitely on the list. It's a great reason.
That's a great thing, because when we go on investigations, we always bring gifts with us. Zach, maybe I'm a good boy. We always bring gifts with us, and we get the children coming through and so on and so on. We always bring gifts. At Christmas time, I brought mince pies, milk, and wine to a location that I go to here in Drogheda. It's called the Drogheda Museum, Millmount. And, it's a lot of history to it. Families lived there. Oliver Cromwell had, bombed it down and fought and war with it. The English came over and fought the shit out of the Irish sometimes, but the Irish always fight back. And so I bring gifts. We always bring gifts, bring toys and so on and so on. But the chocolate one I did not know about. But the chocolate, oh my God, I got even good.
Hi, baby.
Now you've stopped me from talking, which is a rare thing.
I got closer.
I'm sorry. This is Tyler.
What's his name?
Tyler.
Tyler. He was the one that was bonded to Dolly, and he had a hard time with that.
Baby. Oh my God.
Tyler, what are you doing? Give us
He's my boy.
See, there's my cat, and there's my chihuahua being an arse again. There's my chihuahua woke up because the cat is walking on me and I have a dog on the side.
So.
Oh, who wouldn't be having a house without crazy animals in it? My cat's now. Mimi?
Sorry, he wanted to make an appearance.
Right.
No, listen, we love
animals. I just have to show one gratuitous. Which one should I show? Here's.
Oh, of your babies.
Well, I have more than one, but here's the Rocky, poor Rocky. They're all
adorable.
And then there's Olive chewing on a branch under the water with her bubbles.
Bubbles from her nose.
Yes, Bronte with the cowboy hat on because we were in Texas, and her sister Allosaurus with a secret.
Oh my gosh!
And they're in my bed, of course. Anyway,
I
just had to. That was my.
Get them up. We're all about pets. Right. We don't talk about pets in the spirit world or the paranormal field enough.
Yeah,
we just don't. We don't, and we think it's a taboo subject to talk about, and we think it's a taboo subject to say when you're feeling grieving and feeling shitty, and like our animals could have passed 20 years, but we still cry. Like my Sasha, my Blackie.
I should have Kitty Bee, my cat from 25 years ago. His picture is still on my refrigerator.
Yeah, you see, we just adore our pets, and we don't talk about them.
Well,
enough.
I'll promise right here on this show that every location I go to from now on, there will be a segment of research just for pets and animals in general. I have a lot of dreams prior to going to locations about animals. And I see things, so I don't know why there's a disconnect with me doing that. And then once I get there, I'm so busy with the people, but I won't do that anymore. I will amend my behavior. You
see, and that's why we're going to start bringing treats to our locations and so on, because I am the animal person. I will sit on the floor. Like I'm one of these investigators, Rob, that I'm like, if I have to go to the bathroom, someone's coming with me. I do not go on my own. Like I am known for it. I do not go on my own. But put me in a room where I think there's a dog, and I'm like, the dog might not like you, so please leave. The dog will come to me. And I'm a dog groomer. And some dogs will kind of get, I have a healthy fear, and it's not a bad fear. I have a healthy fear when it comes to dogs and working with them. They can do anything, like humans can do anything, but I have a healthy knowledge when it comes to dogs and cats. Oh my God, cats are absolutely arseholes, and they are. Cats are arseholes, and they know it. They know it. We know it, but not many people say it. But I have got cats here that I just like. I want to. I have a cat here called Louis. Oh my God, do I love him? I took him from my niece's house in the country when he was a kitten. We broke mirrors and light shades trying to catch him in my home. Now he's kind of like chilling with the homies. He's like such a cool cat. He's kind of like, I've been here all my life. Little does he know he's booked in to be neutered. And Louis and Kevin's booked in to be neutered. Gillian saying, how are you? Hi, Gillian. We're coming off now in about 5 minutes, Gillian. You see, Chrissy, exactly. This has been amazing tonight. Not many people are happy to talk about pets that have passed as spirits, just as memories, or a story, not that pet is still, still around in spirit. I know. And this is why we need to make it more. If we say there's energy in everything, let's not be hypocrites and say there's energy in everything that's living and passed away. Let's not be hypocrites to say it's just humans, especially the ones who love their pets. And everybody loves their pets. There's just some more obsessed.
Right. So if you guys and everybody that's listening, and thank you for coming, but definitely look at you can I don't know if Jenny's going to put up Rob's information again, but just go to Amazon and type his name in, type in Gutro, and his books will come right up.
I have them here. This is Rob on Facebook. Rob, while we're talking here, would you just tell us a wee bit as well about spirits being stuck? I know we're leaving and I keep calling out questions, but spirits being stuck.
Oh, right.
I'm going to put up all the links here.
Say that again.
Spirits being stuck.
Oh, spirits being stuck?
Yeah.
Well, so usually I would say about 98% of our pets cross over because they can sense the peace and the light. So only humans are stubborn enough to want to stay behind. So nothing more about. Forgiveness is one of the big things too that humans need. Often.
Forgiveness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You see, and that's why we need to talk after this.
Yes, you do.
We do. Oh my God. I'm just going to give you my card details right now because I'm going to keep you on all night.
Yeah. So it's been fascinating, though. I feel like this is one of the times where we say, "Can we talk to you again another time?"
Sure. Yeah. I would love that. We would love it. So we really didn't cover really the human books, but and that's cool. I would love to come back and talk more about everything.
Humans.
Tonight's pet and the next, if I can, after this, if I can book you in again for a few weeks' time for the human books, would be awesome. We'd love that because I know tonight was a mixture. Chrissy, I'm going to PM you all of the Amazon links and the Facebook links and so on. I had them up here tonight. But we're going to say good night. We're going to say, Rob, like a million thank you for giving your time today, for being with us today. It was I enjoyed it immensely. I was nervous because I felt a little bit vulnerable because of my own pet, but I was kind of like, Jennifer, do it, and it was nice. It was nice to do, and I appreciate you giving your time out today to speak with us and to answer all of our questions and so on. And we loved hearing what you have been through as well, which is like, and like I say many times, like animals are not talked about enough. Really, they're not. And if people say, you know, animals are, X, Y, Z, and if everything has an energy that's living, we talk about it and we deal with it as well. Oh, Chrissy, you're so welcome, my love. Listen, Chrissy always says, listen, Linda. But oh yeah, Gillian, watch back. We're just going to come off here now in 2 seconds. Rob, is there anything you want to say before you leave?
Just know that our pets love us unconditionally and they're with us from the other side. Easiest way to get messages, ask them to come into your dreams.
Yes.
And watch your other pets to see, because they will let you know when your pets in spirit are there. Otherwise, I want to thank you both for this wonderful time, and we will talk afterward by email or some other way.
Stay in the background if you're free.
I'm going to I'm going to go make dinner for our canine children and my human husband.
We'll talk tomorrow. We'll talk tomorrow, Monday.
Yep. Sounds great.
Yes, awesome. Robyn, thank you so much for being my co-host tonight. You're freaking awesome.
You're welcome. Thank you for asking.
You're awesome. Everyone who watched and listened and had your questions in, a million thank yous. We wouldn't be here if you weren't listening and watching and giving questions in. So I'm looking for my good night music and I cannot find it, but I'm going to say good night, guys. I love you. Good night. And we will be back on in a few weeks' time. Good night.